long time ago, men and women lived happily together and worked in harmony. The man would risk his life each day into the dangerous forest to bring back food to his women and children. He would also defend them against brutal animals. His job was straightforward. He was a hunter, a lunch chaser, a protector. There was never any requirement for him to analyze the relationship. The woman's role on the other side was equally clear. As the child-bearer, her skills evolved in a way to meet that role. She needed to be able to monitor her direct surroundings for signs of dangers, for example. Duties were clear and simple. Survival at that time was difficult, but the relationship was easy. Men and women have evolved differently because they had to. Their bodies and brains evolved in different ways. And as their body physically changed to adapt to the specific functions, so did their minds. Over millions of years, the brain structure of women and men continued to change in different ways. They now think differently, believe different things, have different perceptions and behavior. As a child-bearer and nest defender, women needed to be detectors of emotions and local danger. That is why women detect easily when another person is upset or feeling hurt, while a man would normally have to witness tears or be slapped in the face before he'd realize that something is going on. Males, being hunters, were never around the cave long enough to learn about the ways of personal communication. They were chasing their lunch. The hunt was directed to non-verbal signals, and often the hunter would sit for hours silently watching for his prey. Men didn't talk or bond. Modern men go fishing, for example, together, speaking a few words, or even sitting for hours and say nothing. But they would be having a great time. However, if a group of women were spending time together and not talking, it would be indicative of a major problem. Another famous difference between both sexes is emotions. How many times have you women asked, why can't he just show me how he feels? Why doesn't he talk and become distant when he is sad? Modern men still carry the ancient legacy of being brave and showing no weaknesses. And becoming emotional is seen as being out of control. In addition, social practices reinforces these behaviors in men by teaching them to act like a man and that boys don't cry. As a nest defender, a woman's brain is pre-wired to show vulnerability, reveal emotions, and know it's not necessary to stay in control all the time. This is why, when a man and a woman bump into problems together, each is confused about the other's reaction. Of the main differences regarding this subject is silence. When distressed, men just want to be left alone until they come up with a solution. Women, on the other hand, need to vent and talk about the problem with everyone. Women often say to their husband, son, or brothers, "You'll feel better if you talk about it." She says this because that's the way it works for her. Many women feel that his silence means he doesn't love her or that he's angry with her, but it's not personal. He's just thinking. But women think this way because if a woman wasn't talking, she is certainly angry or upset. The repeated scenario that usually takes place almost everywhere within most couples is the following. A woman feels hurt. She becomes distant and silent. Her man thinks she needs space and he gives it to her. He might go for a run or he might go meeting with his friends and he will eventually ask her, "Is everything okay?" And she'll reply, "Yes, fine." This "yes, fine" is always tricky. This is an indirect talk for, if you love me, you'll ask me about it. And usually, since her man has no clue about the hidden message, he says then, "That's good," and continues his task. This common misunderstanding and miscommunication pushes the woman to think he's uncaring and heartless. She then calls her girlfriend to talk about how she feels and how insensitive her man is. An advice for all you men out there: when your woman is silent, do not dismiss her silence. Otherwise, you'll get in big trouble. While women are highly emotional and sensitive, they have, on the other hand, limited spatial ability. How many times did you have an argument with your partner regarding trouble reading a map? Spatial ability is one of the male's strongest abilities. It developed to allow the hunters to calculate the movement and distance of their prey. to work out how fast they had to run to catch it. Moreover, spatial ability allows a man to rotate a map in his mind and know in which direction to go if he has to return to the same location later. And since this was not the responsibility of women, they did not develop this skill. While women's job was still somehow preserved as a childbearer and nest defender, men's job started to fade gradually as the Industrial Revolution of the late 1700s and the advanced farming technique took over their role. Thousands of years of being programmed to chase suddenly stopped. Sport became the solution, and most of modern sports were created between the 1800s and the 1900s. And the majority of them involves running, chasing, and hitting targets. Their hunter's instinct were then somehow fulfilled. However, there are still ones related to protection that are still present but not so clear. For example, have you ever noticed that in a restaurant, most men prefer to sit with their backs to the wall or facing the restaurant's entrance? This makes them feel comfortable and alert. They make sure that no one's going to sneak up on them, even if it's not the case anymore. Women, on the other hand, do not seem to have any preference as to where they sit. Moreover, have you ever noticed that men most of the times take the side of the bed that is closest to the bedroom door? It's a symbolic act of defending the cave entrance. This video is only an introduction to the wide differences between men and women, how they evolve differently, and how each sex is special. While actually survival is easy, but the relationship with the opposite sex is not, this was not the case a long time ago.